So I have had some gas lately, and it sent me down a bit of a side quest. Right now I have my main light, my key light, and my little studio shot. I'm happy enough with it. It's fine. But because I do a lot of B-roll around the house, oftentimes where there's lots of windows from behind, I need a little bit more of a boost of light from up front. So I want a light that's small and portable and lightweight, which is why I ended up buying the Amaran 60XS. At first I wasn't quite sure if I liked it, but the size is really growing on me. Seems good. I'm going to test that out versus my Godox one very soon. But in the meantime, I had purchased the Mini Light Dome 3 from Aputure. I've always heard amazing things about Aputure. Bought it. It was okay. It was fine. I didn't really like the inner reflector, the second level of diffusion. What I really like about it is the parabolic curve. I think that it looks very snazzy. And I mean, this is like the Starbucks of lighting gear. I feel like when you see that in somebody's video, you're like, nice. But with that being said, it just costs too much for what it is. I paid 189 Canadian dollars for this softbox. It seems like too much. So I've used a lot of Neewer gear. I have a lot of their RGB lights. I have my giant softboxes Neewer. I figured, you know what? Let's try their version of the similar size softbox. This is 22 inches. That one is 24. And this one cost me $89 Canadian. So less than half price for this. So what I want to talk about today is this worth 2 times the cost of this? Let's see how they work, and let's see if you can notice which one cost $100 extra. And does the hexagon shape really matter when it comes to a catch light compared to the parabolic curves? Let's go. Now we are back on the big boy, the Neewer 36-inch one. Does this one look any different from the last? Okay, so I think the diffusion works a little better on the Mini Light Dome 3 because seeing them side by side at the same power, the Neewer softbox looked a little harsher. I bet if you bring it down though, you're hardly gonna notice. I will give the edge to the Aputure one, but just barely. I think they both look great. As far as the catch light in the eye goes, when you zoom in close, you can tell the octagon shape a little more in the eye than the parabolic circle of the Aputure, but I mean, no one will ever notice the shape. Maybe in photos, but not in video. When I zoom into my eye with a 36-inch softbox, I think that one does look significantly better than both of them, so I'd say it's a wash. I mean, for double the price, it doesn't look that much better. And these tests were done in a dark room with no other lights going on. Maybe the hardest test? Now, there's more to the Light Dome than just its design. It's also known for its ability to collapse quickly. Yeah, I mean, it collapses nicely with the big clasp. It's one giant one that needs quite a bit of force. And having to rip and then refasten the Velcro is kind of annoying. With the Neewer one, you have to secure each rod into place, but it's really easy. And I love that you don't need to line up the Velcro. I actually prefer this design to the Aputure one. Go figure. And being able to hold on to the rods enables you to turn it and hold it. I like it. Also with the Aputure one, not only am I not a huge fan of the first layer of diffusion, even though it arguably works better, I really dislike how on the crate they put the Velcro right at the edge. Is it supposed to be on the outer edge or the inner edge? I've done both and neither of them feel right. On the Neewer one, the Velcro is right smack in the middle and it fastens on so much easier. Oh, and one last little tiny thing I liked about the Neewer unboxing was they included a little quick start guide and it was even printed in color. I like that. Nice touch. I didn't know which way to install that crate on the Aputure one and I couldn't find out by watching YouTube videos or clicking their QR code. Lastly, let's talk about the overall design. There is no question that the Aputure one looks nicer. Like I mentioned earlier, it's like the Starbucks, it's like an Apple MacBook that gives you cred in the industry, just seeing it in the background. But to be completely honest with you, I think it's overrated. Maybe not overrated, but overpriced. I've been rocking my Godox SL60 light for years now, and since it was always so affordable, I've always thought it must kind of suck then. It must, right? Otherwise it would be more expensive like the competition. But since I've got the Amaran 60, which I mean it's the same power as my Godox, and it costs $50 more, I actually prefer using my Godox one. I guess what I'm learning is that if, like me, you want to stretch out your budget, don't pay the Aputure tax if you don't need to. I think for the lighting, they're great in the industry, and if you have a lot of lights and the apps, everything works well and plays well together, then it's nice to match it up with the softboxes and all the accessories, etc. But you gotta pay extra for that. It's like being in the walled garden of the Apple stuff. Once you're in there, it's great, but from the outside, you're like, oh. If you're solo YouTubing like I am and trying to get the most bang for your buck, at least when it comes to softboxes and lights, I mean, get the newer stuff. Nobody is paying me to say this or sending me any of this gear. I've been rocking my big Neewer softbox for years and it still works great. Softboxes on cob lights are a must when it comes to soft lighting for YouTube talking head stuff, at least in my opinion. To anyone out there who cares what I think, if you're just starting out, heck, get the new or even try and look for a used Godox SL60, it's still tremendous value. I love that it has a remote, and if you pair it with either a smaller, newer softbox or a big one like this, I mean, get the big one if you have the space, you'll be set for years to come. I also got the Neewer heavy duty stand. Geez, I should probably get sponsored by them already, hey? Just in Canada, the price of their stuff is so good. And don't get me wrong, I think Colbor and Small Rig and Aputure and even Falcon Eyes, and there's probably lots of other lighting brands that I can't think of, and they're all great, but they cost more. They're probably all better maybe in a more professional setting, but for us amateur tubers, geez, Godox for lighting, Neewer for softboxes for the win. I just wanted to quickly add that after shopping around a little bit more on Amazon, there are other good companies out there with good deals. I just know it's easy to overbuy when it comes to cameras and lighting and softboxes and things like that. I've always wondered whether or not 60-watt light was powerful enough, or do you need 120, 300 or more? And the answer is 60 is more than enough. I'm using this one right now at maybe 40% and I never go above that. That's with 2-layer diffusion. And when I take this off or use a smaller softbox, I'm down to 20%. In fact, I wish this thing had less power sometimes. So I'll talk more about that in a future video. I see some of the Colbor ones and even the GVM ones have some pretty good deals out there as well. So just 60 to 80 watt light is more than enough for YouTube talking head stuff. Get the bigger softbox if you can, if you have the space. If not, get one of the smaller ones. And you definitely want the crate on there as well. Cheers. That's my test for today. I hope you found some value in it. If you did, please take a second and thumbs up the video. It's the only way for the algorithm to know I'm doing a good job. In case you missed my last video, check that out here. Otherwise, here's what YouTube thinks you'd like to watch next. And as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time on the Sad Studio. Dad!